Hello and welcome back to another episode of the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Podcast. My name is Andrew Laird, Senior Soccer Editor of RotoWire. Joining this Monday, December 28th by Jordan Cooper to talk about Tuesday's Premier League slate. Jordan, the day has finally come. We have a 4-game slate. All the games start at the same time, and it might be the worst price slate of the season, which is amazing because we've had some horrific ones before, but this might take the cake.
I don't think it takes the cake. It's the worst priced in the wrong direction.
Right.
Right. It's not. Oh, we have tons of people underpriced. It's like you look in the pool. It's similar to that other slate from last week where you look at it and you go, I kind of don't want to play anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems like everyone is overpriced, which means like you're gonna have to make a lot of concessions in your lineups. I mean, this is not going to be a great slate for probably casual players.
Mm-hmm.
Like, although we're bitching and moaning about it, right? Like, oh, you can't fit in everyone. You still have to make very marginal decisions in order to do that, and that tends over time to favor sharper players.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's easy to fit in Madison and KDB and find forwards with floors, like you get a lot of overlap. It's not that hard. It feels like it's easy, but it's easy for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So on these types of slates for this 4-gamer tomorrow, like it's not going to be easy for everyone.
Right.
So we're complaining about it, but I mean, imagine a casual person is like, how do I fit in the guys that I want in my lineup? You can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry, the world isn't fair. You can't do it.
When I first opened this slate, so like the one, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, the one you were talking about where everyone was overpriced, that felt like we were joking how it was 2 slates combined for the prices and then they just split them. The Tuesday slate, the Monday slate, which didn't end up playing today because Man City and Everton got canceled. That one was the opposite. Like everybody was pretty cheap and you could fit more people than you wanted. But this one, so I opened the slate and I'm like, the highest priced player is 9,700. And like, we're used to seeing, 10,500, 11,000. I mean, we've seen some very high prices. So I see 9,700 and I'm like, oh, they must have just made it pretty soft pricing so that people can play and like, no problem. And then you just keep scrolling and it feels like you're scrolling forever. And you're like, wow, I've skipped 30 people. I must be at 4,200 by now. And you're at 6,900. And you're just like, okay, well then I have no idea how this slate is going to go because, you obviously, it sounds stupid to say this because it pretty much is the case in any slate, but like you're really going to have to take stands on certain people because like you said, like you're not going to be able to fit everyone you want. And not to mention, I mean, thankfully all the games are at the same time, but like we saw some really stupid rotations today, at least in the early game. What was that, Palace and Leicester? Like, I think there might have been like 4 or 5 guys who were expected to start who actually did. So that we might get some price breaks tomorrow, but even that, like, we're not getting cheap guys probably.
Right, and all the teams, the good thing, I don't know, some people consider it a bad thing, all the teams are in play tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like based on the betting lines, like the biggest favorite on this slate currently is Leeds, and they're a plus 101 away favorite.
Yeah.
To West Brom. That is the highest total, around 3. Then we have the next biggest quote favorite is Arsenal plus 132 away to Brighton. That totals 2.5. Then we have Southampton plus 132 at home against West Ham, and that's 2.5. And then we have the lowest total game, which is barely above 2, is Burnley plus 144 at home to Sheffield United. So like the entire player pool, all the teams, it's not one of those things where, well, I can't play the guy that's an underdog because the biggest underdog on the slate is West Brom, but they're only a plus 280 underdog at home to Leeds, who don't necessarily play the greatest defenses to begin with.
Yeah, I would say the one thing that stuck out for me on this slate is Leeds like have the highest total, but they're like a fantasy point machine. And West Brom give up a ton of fantasy points. So I think you could almost build as if Leeds are a bigger favorite than they are, just because I think they're going to produce so many more fantasy points. But they're priced as if they're like minus 450, and they're not.
Well, they're priced as if you could only take one of them. Like most of these teams are that way. So we take a look at the forward pool, and obviously we need to look for rotation. So, like Rafinha, if he's taking all set pieces and he's 9,700 for the quote biggest favorite, he's fine, but maybe he's not in. Right? I mean, we really have to consider that, don't go in and build your lineups before noon Eastern and think like you're good. I mean, I'm expecting heavy rotation. So, and heavy rotation means like Pascal Gross comes back into the side.
Right.
And they already priced them up to 9,300.
It's absolutely wild.
So that's why, like at the top over here, Rafinha, Gross, Bowen. I think they're all overpriced. I mean, they're all overpriced, and there are plenty of forward-eligible players that you could play on this slate. I wouldn't, not that you want to play, but that are viable.
I don't think there's a single player on the slate who is not overpriced.
I would have to agree with that.
Like zero. Like
literally zero. Like unless there's some weird rotation, but even then, it's like, well, if this guy's in, then I'm going to play that guy, and that guy's already priced as if he has a monopoly of set pieces,
right? Already,
like just if Gross is in, I'll play Trossard, but he's 8,100, right? March at the midfield position is 8,300,
83, right? Yeah,
right. I mean, it's ridiculous in a way, but so it's really going to come down to construction more than anything.
Yep.
So at the top end, Rafinha, Gross, and Bowen. I guess you could throw in Trossard. Depending on who starts for Arsenal, I'm just praying that Pepe starts because Willian's going to be out. Willian's already been ruled out.
Yes.
Pepe didn't start their last game. Arsenal rolled out a clown car and then still beat Chelsea.
Smoked them, yeah.
Right. And then, of course, Lampard did the troll job of saying with their, James and Chilwell may be out for a game or two, and then they both start. Right, so that ruins my lineups, but then I late swapped and I got lucky last night. Right.
We all got like lucky with late swapping, having to go to Arsenal. If you wanted, like if you were like, I'll play, what was it, Emerson, and you're like, if I want to play Chilwell, now I have to pay down from Mount to Saka, and he scores a goal.
No, I did the other way. I had Willian, Emerson, and Mount in my lineup, and then I switched it to Pulisic, Zuma, Mount. And I still got there because Zuma got 7 and Pulisic got 14. Mount got like 15. I was good. And then I also played Emilio Martinez. I had the 22-point goalkeeper. So
maybe
that saved. But that's where no. Truthfully, that's what saved me because I played him purposely because I wasn't playing El Ghazi at forward in cash games. So I figured if I'm not playing him, I'm going to block and try to get the win clean sheet in case El Ghazi goes off. And that's what happened.
I like how you're like, I did such this great job late swapping, blah, 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 and I got 22 for my goalkeeper. But anyway,
it's very easy to win when you get the 20 points more than anyone else at goalkeeper.
Right. That's usually a good place to start.
Right. That just says I got lucky. But I'm looking more in the range like if Rafinha doesn't start, like I don't mind Rodrigo.
Yeah.
At 7,000. I mean, no set pieces, but I mean. Everyone on this slate is overpriced. So, like, even Rodrigo at 7,000 is overpriced. But, like, Leeds has good peripheral point players. I'm more likely to lean on them. Just why, like, I want Pepe to start, so that's 6,200. Now I get some salary relief, and I could start filling out the rest of my lineups. I think you could also throw Benrahma in that mold of someone that doesn't have set pieces, but it gives you enough peripheral open play value.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw out, if you want to go, I have to on the context of this slate. This is going to be really weird for me to say, really weird. It goes against my entire brand. But if you take a look at the anytime goal scoring odds, which you can find at RotoWire, rotowire.com/soccer, free trial, 10 days, no credit card needed. See, I'm doing the selling job for you.
Thank you.
Like. Bamford is 6,800 with plus 108 goal scoring odds. Chris Wood is 5,000 with plus 160.
No, Bamford's 9,100.
It says then the cheat sheet's wrong. It says 6,800 on the cheat sheet.
I'm looking at it right now. 91.
Did I have the wrong one up? I have no idea.
But I see
what's
what you're
Chris-
saying. Bamford
Chris
9100.
Wood's then?
Bamford 91. Wood 62.
Oh, this is why does it shows all different on my. Oh, now it got updated. Oh, thank you.
I don't know.
Okay, I guess I pulled it up before everything got.
Before the slate was open, maybe.
Okay, but I was going to talk about Chris Wood at plus
Yeah.
155. He's 6,200. Yes, it's goal dependent, but I mean, in comparison to the odds of him scoring, like Sheffield sucks. I mean, Burnley's not good either, but like if I had to punt, like I take a look at like Carlin Grant at 3,900. Like if I'm going to go down and I'm not going to get peripherals, if I'm not going to get peripherals on out of my forwards anyway, I'm going to go for let's try to get a goal.
That's fair.
Right. So like, I don't want to play these guys in cash games. Right. I'm telling you now. Like I don't. But I don't think it's nuts to play Wood, and I don't think it's nuts to play Carlin Grant if he starts at 3,900.
I really thought you were going to talk about your boy Helder Costa.
Oh, but he's a Leeds guy. If anyone in the Leeds front three, front four, I think are always viable.
But just
Especially,
to make,
who else are you going to play?
just so we're clear, there's no way you play Chris Wood over Pepe.
No, not at all.
Okay.
We skipped over a guy. I'm not sure if he's going to play. Dwight McNeal at 7,500.
I doubt he plays.
Okay, but I just want I don't want people coming at me on Twitter. Oh my God, Dwight McNeal in your cash line. I've never mentioned him. Didn't know if he was going to play. I don't think he does.
No, but
just in case, there you go.
I think he's fine if he starts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
horrible.
The difficulty is not that there are like a ton of midfielders to play. I mean, there are more, but it's difficult to pay up for them just because you're almost forced to pay up at forward.
Right. Or at least pay up enough at forward where you can't just jam in midfield.
Right.
Right? Because even if you're playing Pepe and even if you're doing something like Pepe and Wood or Ben Rama, something like that, Pepe, which is like a semi-dinky do, 6,200, 6,000, like then once we take a look at defenders, it's like either you're paying up or you're paying a center back type of thing.
Yeah.
And then you look and it's like you have to go to Carlin Grant in order to start jamming in midfielders.
Right. Like we're like, you should pay down at forward, and the cheapest one other than Carlin Grant is 6,000. Like it's not 4,200.
Right.
It's crazy.
But I think Saka, if Pepe doesn't start, I think that's fine at 7,900.
Yeah,
he's going to take all set pieces. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just rather it be Pepe at 1,700 cheaper.
Would you play Saka over Trossard if it looked like they both had sets?
Probably. I think because the Brighton could do a lot of it. And I mean, Arsenal's the favorite team. So, like, why wouldn't I take the favored guy over the less favored guy? But I think someone like March, I mean, if Trossard's, I think Gross is going to start. So, Gross wasn't in the last game. I think with the fixture congestion, I just think Gross is going to start. Like, my attitude before I even opened up this slate, and I looked at the teams that were on the slate, and I'm like, I know Gross has not played the past like 2 games, or he came on as a sub. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get Gross at like 6,400, and that's who I'm playing. And it's like, nope, 9,300. I'm like, okay, so if Gross is that much, that means I'm going to play March at like 6,200. Nope, he's 8,300. Like, oh, well, looks like I'm not playing any Brighton players this week.
Yeah, I think for cash, you'd absolutely play Rafinha over Gross.
Oh, definitely.
And Bowen, probably.
Yes, I agree with that as well.
But
they're all overpriced. They're all ridiculous.
Right. You absolutely have to say, though, like I'm saying, like I'm not going to play Gross at that price. Gross always gets there. Like, always. It's always something. But if he starts, he's getting like 12 to 15 every time.
Not necessarily. I look at his game logs. He doesn't always get there.
Every time. Look at his game log. He gets there right. Every time.
He somehow gets a goal, or he gets 9 crosses with 4 shots. Like it's
the guy gets there every time.
Right? Because he either has no peripherals and then a goal against Liverpool, right? Or it's Leicester and he's like, nope, I'm going to just cross it a ton and chances created. Yeah, somehow he Somehow he manages to get there.
Every time. And I'm saying this over and over, and I preceded it by like, I'm not playing him.
Right, I'm still not playing him.
Every time.
So at midfield, the two guys that I want to play are Ward-Prowse and Pereira.
Yeah.
8,600 and 8,400. Then now, once you plug them in your lineup, in the lineup, you're like, okay, I guess I need to take out a loan for the rest of my lineup.
Right. You're wondering if there are any $1,400 players.
Right.
You're looking for NFL Showdown $200 guys, and they're not here.
Right. But I play Ward. See, the thing is that I think in comparison, the context of this slate, I think Ward-Prowse and Pereira are, it's kind of weird to say, but they're underpriced. Like, I'd rather play, compare Ward-Prowse and Pereira to Gross, Bowen, Trossard, March, Saka. Like, I'd rather play Ward-Prowse and Pereira. I mean, if Ward-Prowse and Pereira were forward eligible, which they're not because they're not forwards, those are the guys I'd be plugging into my forwards.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
But the problem is that the forward spots, you can't find $4,000 forwards that are worth playing. At midfield, a lot of times you can.
Right.
That it's like, okay, I'm gonna take a flyer on a 4K defensive midfielder. Some cheap winger is in. You don't really get that at the forward spot. So that's why in DFS soccer, many times you're kind of forced to pay up at the forward slots, and that's why a lot of times we talk about in cash games about are there quote floor forwards, because it's like we want to be able to get points without having to rely on a goal. And in GPP, like you're going for the upside. You're going for, the guy could get 2 points or 16.
I think there is also, I think there are a lot of midfielders you could play. Like, if Rafinha doesn't start and Pablo Hernandez looks like he could have sets for Leeds, I think at 7,600 he's fine. Harrison at 8,000 I don't think is a bad play, but I just don't see how you can easily get these guys.
Right. You could always pay down for 6,800 Ashley Westwood.
6,800. I mean, 15 crosses the other day.
Okay, great for him. He's 6,800.
He had 15 crosses, 5 chances created, and he had 14.9 points.
Right, that's the only right.
It's
if
like a
Cavani,
a floor Cavani. We'll have to come up with a new name for that. But I think it's really the Leeds West Brom possibilities that, we're going to talk about all these other guys you could play. Like if Rafinha doesn't start, like if there's a possibility like Krovinovic starts, but he's 6,300. Click is 64, but I think that's the game that has the most peripheral points in it.
Right, because you also could see a lineup where Pereira doesn't start and you play Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
At 5,200 is still, that would be efficiently priced if Pereira is out.
Right.
So if he's in, that's way overpriced. But I mean, even I like guys in this range more. A John Fleck, no set pieces, but at least he does something in open play. Norwood. If I'm gonna pay, Norwood and Westwood are pretty much the same player.
Yes.
Right, and in a game where it's practically an even money type of game, I'll pay $2,000 less for the deep lying midfielder that has set pieces.
You will never be happier to play Oliver Norwood.
Right. I don't mind if he starts playing Lanzini at 5,300.
I was going to say the West Ham situation is interesting because Bowen has played a ton, Cresswell takes some, but if you got Lanzini or Snodgrass at 5,900, I think the only potential value is in the non-Bowen Cresswell set piece takers from West Ham.
Right. Because Fornals is 3,600. They haven't raised his price. That could be salary relief. But understand his floor is -0.5.
Right. But I think normally it's a opportunity cost with midfield. The forwards are basically forcing you into certain guys. But Matt Phillips at 4,600, he's actually been awful. But I think you would normally look at his direction, but if you're already playing, you want to play Ward-Prowse and Pereira. And if you're not playing, there's 18 other guys that you probably want to play over Phillips. And at 4,600 for what he does, I think you're probably just better off still going down and just finding somebody else.
Right, but even Calvin Phillips for Leeds, depending on the Leeds lineup. You have Stuart Armstrong at 5,400. I mean, These are the guys that you'd look at and like if they're 4,200, you're like, okay, I could play them. So, like, just understand the context of this slate is that everyone is overpriced.
Yeah.
So, like, in comparison to the context of the slate, Calvin Phillips at 5,000 is a deal.
Right.
Right? But he's really not a deal.
Yeah. Ben Osborne is 4,000. He sometimes takes set pieces. He took them last game, so like, I think he's fine because he's 4,000. Like, I'm not playing him for any other reason than that.
Right. I think that the cheap guy that I want to play, if he's in, is Musa Genepo.
Genepo.
Oh, am I pronouncing it wrong?
Is it Genepo? I thought it was Genepo as opposed to
Who
Genepo.
cares? Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yes, I agree. A winger for Southampton. I think he's good. Ben Johnson actually has been playing pretty well too, right above him. Or same price.
But that's where I'm looking. I'm hoping some of these guys are in. I hope Genepo is in for, he'd be in for Walcott, I guess.
Yeah, like if Walcott starts up front with Che Adams instead of Shane Long. They've done that. Yeah, I think he's fine.
Right.
But he's also a floor of like 2.
Right, of course. But I mean, you're paying 3,400.
Right.
So, like, I'd rather play him over a center back.
Yes.
Right. So, like, he's an attacking player. It's not a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
Same thing for Fornells. I mean, it's the same type of player. Fornells and Genepo is a player that doesn't do much other than some flashy stuff, and it doesn't count for peripherals at ever. Unless he's fouled or he scores a goal. Right.
You'll look it up how many points or nutmeg is, and you're like, oh, wait, we don't get any points for that.
Right. Brownhill would be the Burnley version of that.
Mm-hmm.
Brownhill has no skill. He's just on the field.
Yeah. He's been playing centrally too lately, so although he's been scoring more fantasy points, so maybe, I don't know.
But even Grady Diangana, like there's so many players that in the context of the slate, it's like, I don't want to play any of these guys, but I'm probably going to have to play one of them.
Yeah.
And there are constructions where you play 2 of them even.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, where am I going to get any type of salary value at all? It's most likely going to be in a midfield spot. And then you'd look and you go, well, I'm going to play Ward-Prowse and Pereira. So like I'm only going to play one if you do that.
Right.
That's why with the rotation that may happen tomorrow, like maybe it ends up that I'm paying up at forward and I'm playing 2 of those guys, 3 of those guys, something like that. It's possible.
It's possible, yeah.
It's possible. It's possible that Pereira is out, or Ward. I mean, most likely Ward-Prowse plays. He seems to play 90 minutes every game, no matter what.
Yep.
But it's possible Pereira's out, and so now you're not paying $8,400 for a midfielder, and then you could just go down and play two 4K level guys, 5K level guys.
Yeah.
I'd love that to happen. I'm praying for that. Make it so much easier for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Defender, it's basically Cresswell and then no one else.
No, the Leeds guys.
Really? At their prices?
I mean, we're saying that about everybody.
In this economy?
Yeah.
Am I getting my stimulus check before the slate? I think I'm going to need it.
We're going to need it, yeah. I think they are better than the... Oh, maybe not.
Right.
I think they're around the same as the midfielders.
Right, Cresswell is overpriced at $6,400, but still in comparison, okay. Still better than paying $6,200 for Dallas, $5,900 for Kufal, $5,500 for Alioski. Furlong's $5,400. Like they're all. It all seems like they're all about $300 or $400 overpriced.
Right, but that's different than the forwards and midfielders that are $3,000 overpriced.
You're right. So even like Bertrand and Kyle Walker-Peters, like all these defenders are like $400 overpriced.
Bertrand's
like
an absolute,
like literally all of them.
Yeah, Bertrand's a lock though if Ward-Prowse doesn't start.
That's correct. Yes, but like if I'm gonna play, do I pay $5,400 for Furlong or do I pay $4,600 for Charlie Taylor? Like right. To me, they're the same player. I mean, so I'm just gonna pay down. The Sheffield guys, Stevens and Baldock, they're not good anymore.
They're terrible.
Well, Sheffield is terrible.
Yeah.
Bellerin starts again, $3,900.
I mean, like Matt Loughton at $3,800 isn't bad either.
If he start right, most likely, and who knows? Maybe he doesn't. He does start. What happens? Okay, Connor Townsend is out. I'm predicting that they're just going to play Dean Ghana as a wingback or Matt Phillips as a wing, something like that. But you can't. You could try to. You have to. You could make your money back from all those years of playing him.
No, you can't. Kieran Gibbs is the greatest trap in the history of DFS soccer. It helps that he's 3,400. I'll say that much. But he is like
he's been 2,500 on past slates. You play him and he gets 1 point. He is the Ponzi scheme of DFS soccer. And we're talking about going on like a good 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Years.
No matter what team he's on, it doesn't matter.
So on a slate where everyone is like grossly overpriced, which pushes him to 3,400. But like every slate, like look at his game log, 2,600, 26, 25. The number of times where you look and you're like, how many points do I even really need out of a $2,600 player? And then you get one and you're like, oh, that wasn't enough.
Right.
You actually could, like, everyone gets there at 2,500. Nope, not Kieran Gibbs. Not an attacking left back, Kieran Gibbs.
Right. He could play as a wing back. He could play as the central playmaker with all the set pieces and everything in a Monopoly. You look down, it's 3.8 points. It's like, how is that possible?
Yeah, it is amazing. I don't think there is a single player who is more of a trap than him in the history of the game.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
So no, I'm not playing him. So enjoy the hat trick tomorrow.
Well, I mean, he probably doesn't even start, but I'm just mentioning
he
case.
Very well could. He has been.
Yes. You're right.
How much was he? 36? 34?
But even some of these center backs, why is Adam Webster $3,800?
I don't know.
What make Liam Cooper is $4,100? What Lewis Dunk is $4,100. Why? Why did this happen?
He just scored.
Oh, so now they have to raise his price $1,500 because of that?
Yeah. Dunk scored.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Well, I hope people play him then.
Right.
And they'll World Cup. They'll get a World Cup goal out of him. Veltman is 4,300. Who's making who? Why is there taxes at the end of the year? What's going on?
It does just seem like they took all of the prices and they were just like, let's just increase these by 20%.
Right, and then just put your hat on the thing. I'm done for the day at DraftKings offices.
See you guys in 2021.
Right. See you guys for the next Saturday, whatever slate. I'm done. You hand in your spreadsheet. You just like,
Yep.
Right. Who scored a goal last slate? Oh, Dunk did. Okay, raise his price.
Mm-hmm. The one guy we just skipped, but I saw the one who I wanted to talk about. He's a forward. So going back to the World Cup, so Lamptey's out for Brighton, who is now a defender again for some reason at 5,700. But Jahan Bosch has been playing as a wingback, and he's a $4,800 forward.
You could do it.
You could do it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, you could do it.
Lamptey reminded me of it.
Okay.
And I would love to see the lineup build that allows you to pay $5,400 for a goalie.
Especially on a slate where the differences between the games are so minor.
Mm-hmm. Like, this is a slate where I wish DraftKings didn't price the backups so close, because I think I would consider like a $2,500 guy who's not going to even be in the 18.
Right, just to take a zero,
Mm-hmm.
25.
Right. I mean, knowing my luck, the zero is like, I would love that.
Right, because you're gonna end up taking someone like Ramsdale, and he's gonna be -4.
Right.
Right, because Chris Wood has a hat trick.
Well, it's a low scoring slate. Other than Leeds, none of these teams shoot that much, so it's going to be a classic like 2 to 3 goals allowed and no saves.
Right.
And maybe a yellow because he tackled somebody in the box.
The time wasting.
Right. Right. In the 63rd minute.
They're losing, and he's like, I'm just done with the game. I'm just going to hold on to the ball. We don't want to finish.
Right.
Your goalkeeper this slate is like whoever's left. It doesn't matter. You could play 3 Leeds players and still play John Stone. It doesn't matter at this point.
I think there are going to be a ton of people who build their lineups with the thought of just like instead of plugging in the cheapest goalkeeper, they just start the other way and they're like, I'm just going to play whoever fits. And they're going to go and they're like, how come there are no $400 goalies? Like I can't.
Right.
I was willing to take the cheapest one, but I still need $4,000 to do it.
Right.
And I didn't play Rafinha, Ward-Prowse, or Pereira.
Right. I didn't even play three of the most expensive players, and I don't have enough money.
Right.
Don't have enough salary.
And then you start looking up the rules to see if you can exchange crowns for more salary.
Right. And it's weird they made the pricing this way because the contests are actually quite decent tomorrow because obviously NFL is not on and NBA is not till night. So we may see some of these midweek soccer, maybe the soccer stuff with NFL kind of wrapping up are going to get a little bit better. But usually when they're trying to attract people like that don't normally play soccer, like you make it a little bit, the pricing is a little bit softer. I mean, if you go over to FanDuel, I'm not talking about soccer on FanDuel, but just FanDuel in general. If you play NFL, NBA, MLB, they keep their pricing much softer than on DraftKings, which let me say, it doesn't make it easier. It makes it easier for casuals to feel like they're building good lineups. But sharper players actually have a much more bigger advantage at FanDuel with the softer pricing because it's very easy to make major mistakes.
Right.
On a slate like this, like, it's not hard. I mean, when everyone is overpriced, where there's no, like, obviously, we'll see the starting 11s. Maybe value does open up. But, like, it's very easy to make very similar lineups from a projection standpoint on a slate like this and not make a mistake. Where, like, if you took Pascal Gross over Jared Bowen or something like I can't call you an idiot for like either of them at the same time, right? If you could only play one of Ward-Prowse or Pereira and you took one over the other, like projection-wise,
yeah,
like over 1,000 slates, it's going to come out to the same. Right, so like it's not those slates where Madison is underpriced and all these guys are underpriced. And if you don't play them, you're giving up so much projection. And although they'll be popular, you'll see them in GPPs be 72% owned. That also means 28% of the field said, no, I don't want to take a guy that's $2,000 underpriced. Right. So like you get the edge there. So it's just weird to me that DraftKings made these salaries the way they are, as well as making the contests decent. It almost makes me not want to play. and I always want to play. And even then it's like, ugh.
So the big GPP is 80K, which might be the biggest Premier League one we've had this season.
It's not going to fill.
20K to first. The
$80 to eighth place. Let me guess. 80 to eighth.
No. This one's actually pretty good. Eighth place is 500. I mean, good in the context of soccer.
Right, in the context, right. I mean, that's still.
There's an $8 5K shootout, as they call it. That's 1,000 to first, 70 to fifth.
Oh, what? Why can't they just make the main GPP the $8 GPP? Because they're stupid.
There is a $4 5K sweeper that's also 1,000 to first. That's 100 to fifth, 75 to sixth.
Okay, that isn't that bad. Why can't they just make one? Why are they doing 8s and 4s? Just make one main one for $8 and we're good.
There's an $8, there's a $4, there's a $5 single entry, a $3 3 max, and a $12 single entry.
Okay, that's normal. But the main GPP is what, $20?
$20.
Right, that's just make the golden boot like in the good old days, the $27 mid-stakes one. That's for, then whatever, it's 16 max or whatever the hell it would be, with a $4,000 first place like that one, and then make a $6 main one with 8,000 entries for a $50,000 prize pool or something like that, and that's the way it used to be back in the day.
The multi-entry for the main GPP is 141.
Who does that? 141 entries?
There is somebody who has 141 in right now.
Yeah, it's Redcoat. Saramek. Right. I just don't understand spending $2,820. on a contest like that?
You have to have at least one. I mean, not at least one, but fourth place is 3,000. That's fourth
So
out of 4,705. Anybody has any follow-up for Jordan?
Just go back to the good old days.
Yeah.
No one's going to listen to this.
No.
Birdback will listen and laugh. That's all he's going to do.
That's all he does is laugh at us when we complain. Anybody has any follow-up for Jordan, you can find him on Twitter at BlenderHead. That's BlenderHD. I'm at RotoWire Andrew. Thank you to our sponsor, SoRare, for sponsoring the podcast. SoRare is a global fantasy football game where you can scout and collect officially licensed digital cards of football players. You can compose teams with your cards to compete in weekly tournaments, and if you're a skilled manager and ranked well, you can win money and card prizes in every tournament. SoRare is partnered with over 100 football clubs, including PSG, Juventus, and Bayern Munich. Visit sorare.com, that's SORARE.com to sign up, or use the link in our episode description to receive 10 free cards. Jordan, thank you for that, and good luck on Tuesday.